Welcome into another edition of Game Changers.
I like that music. I love that.
You like the music?
It's on my playlist.
You're batting 1,000 for interrupting me during the intros. It's like my favorite part of the show. It's like I'll never get through the intros. Because Kim Bocamper really likes to talk. We've got Steve Goldstein. No, he did not ditch Bo for another week. He's out there in beautiful Vancouver.
He would never leave me for 2 weeks in a row.
Goldie, is your little buddy still with you there in Vancouver? Is he still hanging around?
Yeah. So if I can lift this up without, we got this bird, I'm saying right on the water, and this little bird.
There he is.
There, see him over there?
Yeah, that's Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
He's right. Well, I'm not doing it very good. There he is.
Yeah.
He will not leave, and he's stalking. And I don't know what to do. I try to call him Jalen Hurts. He didn't buy it.
Yeah.
I try to call him Geno Smith. He didn't buy it. I don't know what he is, but he's some type of bird, and he won't leave me alone.
He's a loyal viewer, Goldie. Just let him check out the show. He's trying
all the
to
way
watch
from
the show.
South Florida to come watch the game up there.
That's
He's a fan.
right.
Hey, buddy, you love Game Changers? Yeah, he says he loves Game Changers. Yeah.
There we go.
He just
Perfect.
said it. Yeah.
Perfect.
I just talked to him. Yeah.
All right, well, we do have to get to some of our topics today. We can't just keep messing around. The Dolphins, obviously, guys, did lose this past week on Monday Night Football to the Titans. My question to both of you, and Goldie, I'll start with you, is what did we learn on Monday?
That's a great question. What we learned is you can never, ever get complacent, because the Dolphins got complacent, really thought throughout the game. Remember, they blew the 14-point lead. It's been talked about ad nauseum. They wouldn't have had the 14-point lead if Tennessee literally didn't hand them two fumbles. We also learned that this offensive line, without Connor Williams, we all thought before the season, Teron Armstead was the guy they could not live without. Maybe it's Connor Williams. Now they're going to have to live without him. They need to bounce back. This is the biggest game I think this franchise has had in a long time. If they don't win on Sunday, all the conversation around 4:30 Sunday afternoon is going to be, are they going to win another game? And are they going to blow this thing? That said, I think they bounce back. I think there's going to be some anger. And I don't care if it's 3-0 or 41-40. They have to beat the Jets on Sunday.
I hope there's some angst in that room. I hope there's some vitriol being thrown around in that room. For the way, look, I used to think the Kentucky Derby was the fastest 2 minutes in sports. I just saw the fastest 2 minutes in sports on Monday night when Tennessee scored two touchdowns within about a minute and 50 seconds to break that 2-minute barrier, which was impossible to do. But look, even beyond that, you had a missed field goal. You had a Bradley Chubb penalty that allowed the team to pick up a first down and score a touchdown. That's a 10-point swing. 10-point swing, you let go.
Yeah.
You just don't make those mistakes. So it wasn't just the end that caused the problem. In the middle, there was a lack of ability from this offense. And again, Tyreek goes out, and man, this offense looks completely different than what we see with Tyreek in there. And so you better, every Dolphin fan out there, if you got some little beads that you wish on or whatever, you better hope for Tyreek Hill to be healthy the rest of this season.
Yeah,
because what it looks like without him ain't so good.
Because remember, Tua gets the ball out faster than anyone in the league, and we thought, okay, maybe it's the offensive line. No, it's because Tyreek gets open so fast. They know where he's going with the ball, and the offense just moves quickly like that. When Tyreek was out, man, it hit the brakes so hard. And I think that leads to that MVP conversation we had last week. I think we just found out who the MVP of this team might be when you exclude maybe some of those offensive linemen. But going forward, guys, Bo, the 1 seed is what we had been talking about. Being good in December is what we had been talking about. Should the Dolphins, I know in the macro they want to get that 1 seed, but now is it more about fending off maybe a team like the Bills, making sure you're winning the division?
Look, last week I'm watching Kansas City play Buffalo, and I'm not sure who I want to lose worse. You want Kansas City out of the home field to get in the home field, or do you want Buffalo to quit buzzing around us?
Yeah.
Well, we got that Kansas City not getting the home field, but I don't like the Buffalo Bills buzzing around, because they look like they're starting to get things together, and they're moving forward. So I can see the last game in Buffalo here, that last game against the Bills, being the make or break, and anything can happen at that point. But we've talked about this time and time again this year, Mike. You lose on the road in Philadelphia, all right. You lose on the the road in Buffalo, all right. But you lose at home to the Tennessee Titans. Those are the games that keep you out of home field advantage and put you on the road and give you one game and then head back to training camp next year.
Yeah, Goldie, is Bo right? Does it feel like that doom and gloom when you lose a game like this?
Well, look, the way they lost it is obviously disappointing, and the injuries are piling up. No Jalen Phillips, no Jerome Baker. You didn't have Jamon Holland. Elliott left the game. Remember, Isaiah Wynn's been out, so they're literally without their entire starting offensive line and Tyreek Hill. So it's easy for us to say, well, you still got to find a way, and yes, they do. But that's a lot of players to be missing. Now, some of those guys obviously are going to be back. I was totally rooting, by the way, for Kansas City. You guys know me. I'm not dismissing the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, you see, he finally left.
One just landed behind you. Yeah.
But I'm not dismissing the Bills. But the bottom line is, this is all still in the Dolphins' hands. Mm-hmm. I mean, give the Ravens credit.
I'm not dismissing the Bills. I'm not dismissing the Bills. I want them out.
No. Right, that's what I mean. Like, I agree with you. Like, they're not done yet. They almost beat Philly. They lost in overtime. They beat Kansas City on the road. Baltimore had a similar situation as the Dolphins. Didn't play very well. Back and forth with the Rams. They found a way to win in overtime on special teams. But the bottom line is, you take care of the business against the Jets, and you beat Buffalo that last game. Regardless of what the Bills do, you still win the division.
Right. Right. It's interesting watching these games because you're juggling between, do you really want the 1 seed or do you want to just make sure the Bills don't come up and creep back into the conversation?
All I know is people driving into that stadium on Monday night, they had the vuvuzelas out. They were happy as can be and everything. Coming out, they're throwing stuff, and it was a madhouse coming out of there.
Yeah. All right, well, you know what? I tell you what. We're going to go to break. We're going to check in on the college football playoff. But when we go to break, I want Bo to do his best vuvuzela impersonation as we talk. There we go. That's pretty much about what it sounds like. Coming up next on Game Changers, we're going to check in on who we think is going to win the college football playoff, not just those Final Four games, but yes, the title and everything. Game Changers is coming right back. Welcome back to Game Changers, where Kimbo Camper is jamming out in the break whenever that music plays. We got Steve Goldstein on the road with the Panthers in Vancouver right now. Now, guys, this will be our final Game Changers of 2023. We're going to go on hiatus the next couple of weeks before we come back after the calendar turns, but there are some big events we have to talk about, including the college football playoff. So I want to get your guys' predictions. Goldie, I'll start with you. You've got Michigan against Alabama, Washington against Texas. Who do you think comes out of the semifinal games, and who ultimately wins this thing?
Well, I think I like Texas. I do like Texas in that game, but that Michigan-Alabama winner, I think that's the national champion. That's who's going to end up winning it. And I'm going to pick Alabama. Nobody likes Nick Saban. I know that. People aren't big fans of this Alabama team. Say what you want about Georgia. They did beat them pretty good in the SEC championship game. And I just think that program and that coach and Nick Saban, you give them second life. They were out of this thing. You give them a second chance, they can take advantage of it.
Yeah, you give Saban a couple weeks to prepare for anything, and that's going to be a problem. Bo, what do you got?
Michigan. I'm going Michigan on this one. Michigan, the equivalent of the New England Patriots in the Pro Football League, Michigan. They both cheat at the same level. So I'm going to go with the cheating team because they got a better opportunity. Yeah. I think they got a great football team. Yeah. I think with all the things that they've gone through, and I think they're poised to win one of these big games. If they can get through that first game, I think they win the national championship, and I think they bring it home too. Maybe the most competitive family in the world of sports, the Harbaugh family.
Yeah, maybe a little too competitive. But yes, I agree with you. I think Michigan's going to win. I think Texas is going to get into that national title game. I just think college football to me is a lot of fun when you see Texas back in the mix. So I think it's really cool that they're there. But I agree. I think Michigan is going to do it. I think their defensive line is going to be a problem for whoever they end up facing. And we're going to see Harbaugh win a national title and then maybe come on back to the NFL, big guy. Come on, bring those khakis back to the league. There's a couple of teams looking for a head coach.
As long as the Dolphins beat his brother on New Year's Eve, I don't care
That's
what
all
the
that
other
matters.
matters.
All that matters. That's all that matters. And Jim can Jim can hang around that night and watch his brother get beat up a little bit, and then go on and win his game.
All right, we'll see if we're right. We got one Alabama from Goldie. We got a couple of Michigan Wolverines over here in studio. We still got more coming up on Game Changers, as I did mention. This is our last one of 2023, so we got to get to our favorite moments of the sports season down here in South Florida, and this was a tough one to do. We'll see what the guys thought about the calendar year that was 2023 coming up next on Game Changers. Welcome back to Game Changers. As we mentioned, this is going to be our last episode until 2024. We're going a little hiatus as we hit the holidays here in December. I know it's sad. Look, it's been a lot of fun, but we want to keep having some fun before we do go. And we do want to talk about our favorite moments of the year before we take off here. And Bo, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
There's a lot to choose from in South Florida. Across the sports world, did you have a favorite moment this year?
Well, my personal favorite was getting the opportunity to do the Dolphin preseason games in the booth with Goldie and with you on the sideline. That was my favorite. That was my favorite sports moment.
Likewise.
But going around the town, you know what? You know, I know we had a Heat run to an NBA final, but watching the Stanley Cup run by the Panthers put out there, a lot of fun. I got to pay up when Goldie got me some tickets I had to pay a lot of money for, and I appreciated that. So with me going to games and pay, you knew it was special for me to pay up and go to games. But I tell you, it was the players were fun, the fans were great, the city was on edge. It was just it was a magical month or so of both the Heat and the Panthers, but Panthers were just a little bit more unique for me.
The Panthers were a great team and an easy team to fall in love with. And like Goldie, before we get yours, I want you to jump in here on that because you were right there in the mix for all of that.
Yeah, the big controversy in all of it that people don't know is when they said, Mr. Bocamper, what's your credit card number? And he went, credit card? What are you talking about? No, it was amazing. And that Carolina series, I mean, Kachuk scores 3 game winners, 2 of them in overtime, the 6th longest game ever. But the way they knocked off the Boston Bruins from 3-1 down, I don't think we'll ever see that again. It was one of the biggest disparities in NHL history. The Bruins had, 43 more points?
Yeah.
And Mike Cugno, one of my favorite moments is you, before the season ended, said, no, finish 8th. I want the Bruins. And I'm like, you're crazy. You don't want to play. Yeah, you were on the money.
Give me the beast. All right, now, everyone at home who's watching this, don't shoot the messenger. I told Goldie he was not allowed to pick the Panthers because obviously that'd be an easy choice for him. So he's going his favorite moment outside of the Panthers. Goldie, what is it?
Can I first give my honorary mentions?
Yes.
Am I allowed to do that?
Yes.
Okay. The roller coaster celebration in Washington last week was one of my that was one of my favorite moments. The 70 points against Denver, and the Canes and FAU's runs. Okay, those are my honorary moments. But for the fanfare Lionel Messi got when he comes to Inter Miami, they play that first game in the league's cup match, which never existed before, and the dude scores in the 94th minute on a free kick for the game winner in his debut. I mean, you just can't make it up. I mean, the score being tied and all the fanfare. Messi, to me, doing that with that kind of drama. If you were in Hollywood and you wrote a script about some great soccer player, maybe the greatest of all time, is going to join some league in Miami, in America, play in Miami, and his first game is going to come down to a free kick, an extra time, he's going to score, you would have said you're crazy. No one will go see that movie because you can't believe it.
Yeah, that was incredible. You mentioned the fact that he's even here. I mean, these guys were basically talking about Messi coming to Miami since day one when they got the team, and no one believed him. And then all of a sudden, one night in Fort Lauderdale, he pops up. He's like, "Oh, wow, they really did it." That Goldie.
Someone saw him in Publix walking around with a shopping cart, a bag of groceries in there.
Yeah, that wasn't.
He had some pickles and some pears or something.
Yeah, that wasn't staged at all. All right, I'm going way outside the box for mine. My favorite moment of the year has to do with the Miami Marlins. They're playing the Mets. It's a cold, rainy night at the end of the season. They're trying to get into the playoffs, and the grounds crew just keeps messing things up. They took a lead late in the game. They're trying to win this game to clinch a playoff spot. They're first in forever. And you have Skip Schumacher literally pulling the tarp off the field himself, yelling at the grounds crew. Poor Kim Ng's out there trying to calm him down. And then, to top it all off, the Mets grounds crew, Steve Goldstein's Mets grounds crew, decides to take a group photo in front of the Marlins dugout while they're all sitting there, all pissed because they can't get back on the field. It ends up being my favorite sports moment because the Marlins, at the end of the day, end up getting into the postseason. But if anyone was watching that game, it's like 1:30 in the morning, and it is just shenanigans going on there.
Only the Marlins.
Only the Marlins.
Only in Miami.
And only the Mets.
Yeah.
Do you want to defend your Mets, Goldie, in that whole situation?
No, look, those grounds crews are part of the union, so they get paid overtime like everybody else up there in New York. So, they're going to let the game go all night.
I know Goldie's got his New York Giant underwear on right now, so I got to ask him a little question. How you faring with Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets?
Boy.
There you
Tommy
go.
Cutlets. And by the way, he also played at Syracuse.
Yes.
And part of the reason Syracuse had to get rid of Dino Babers did a bad job, he let him leave Illinois. He was good at Syracuse. So let's go, Cutlets.
There you go.
And one day, if I need an agent, I'm hiring his agent.
Oh my!
We need next when the calendar turns and you're back here in studio. You got to wear his agent's hat here on Game Changers for sure.
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. And by the way, in another storybook thing, his dad's a plumber in New Jersey. The name of the company is DeVito Heating and Plumbing.
Oh, it's perfect.
You can't beat the story.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
It's awesome.
It's perfect. Hometown, everything's great about it. That might end up being everyone's favorite sports story around the country. But thank you guys for sharing yours on this one. We still got more Game Changers to come. We're going to talk about what's trending. Last week we talked about Ohtani. I'm going to venture a guess he's going to be back in this next segment. We'll
didn't he get paid a little bit, right?
A little bit.
Little chump change out there, Goldie?
We'll be right back.
It's deferred like your money, Bo Camp. You're getting like $10 million in 2030 or something.
Deferred till never. That's what
I need a Bobby Bonilla day.
Yeah, every day is Bobby Bonilla day for you. We'll be right back. Time to get to what's trending here on Game Changers, and Shohei Ohtani's, his paycheck is trending in the right direction. That's for sure. Signs a 10-year, $700 million deal to land with the LA Dodgers. But of course, he deferred that. A lot of that money. He's going to make $2 million a year annually. This is very much a Bobby Bonilla style contract. Goldie, what did you make of the move and the number itself? 700 bills? Are you kidding me?
Well, first of all, I think it's an incredible move all around. Yeah. And let me tell you why. Number one, he makes $35-40 million himself in endorsements. So the salary from the Dodgers pales in comparison. It really doesn't matter. He wants to win. So this gives them the money to go out there. They're only paying him $2 million a year. It goes out and he can build a team around him. Number two, the Dodgers will be bringing in at least half the money in sponsorships and endorsements because of him. So the Dodgers are really only paying him half the money. And what is it going to do to a fan base? You have a lot of people and a lot of Mexicans in the Los Angeles area. Remember, generational. They are fans of the Dodgers because Fernando Valenzuela came in the early 80s. I think they can cultivate it. They can become an even bigger brand. And the fact that anybody came up with this idea to structure it this way, and I know it may not be fair to other major league teams. It's, luxury tax circumvention, of course. But the fact they came up with this, I think is brilliant. I think it's genius. And by the way, when he is done, he's going to get all that money on the back end.
Well,
starting in 10 years.
Not only is he getting all that money, Goldie, but I did the same thing. I didn't make that much money, but I deferred part of my last contract out because I didn't want to spend it, in a willy-nilly way. So just kind of save myself. But I got interest paid on it. Imagine if they're paying. I'm sure they've got to pay interest on that money. They're not going to let them keep $680 million and not pay interest on it over that
Somebody's
time.
making money
so that contract is going to end up being even more money than that. And not only the Mexican group there, the LA Dodgers. That's been one of the most popular baseball teams all over the place. And when people on the East Coast don't understand that, because someone said to me, how can the Dodgers afford it? I mean, how can the Dodgers got as much money as the Yankees have?
LA, baby. Yeah.
So so you got. But not only that, but you're on the Pacific Rim there. You've got all those Asian, all the Asian population,
markets,
and so that brings them to the ballpark. He doesn't even have to move his house because he's still in LA. He's got to drive to another stadium. This is a perfect thing for everybody. It's good for baseball. It's good for the Dodgers. It's good for Ohtani, and it's just all around. I think it was a creative and a good way to get a guy like that in a place where he's going to be seen by a lot more people than he was the last couple of years.
And by the way, on the money part, the Dodgers are going to bring in the Angels. We're bringing in $15-20 million a year in sponsorship because of him. So automatically that he goes up to LA, you're going to double that. They may end up making more than half the contract in sponsorships because he's on the team.
It's a brilliant deal. My favorite part about all of this is no one really knew what was happening until Dave Roberts kind of spilled the beans at the winter meetings, but he kept it pretty quiet, and then he breaks the news himself on social media. And you'd think a deal like this would have been played out in the media that way to pin teams against each other to drive the dollar figure up, and no, he still got paid. If he was going
to stay on the West Coast, it either had to be the Dodgers or the Giants. You can't do the Padres or Seattle. No. It's got to be one of the two big boys out in the West. So I'm glad he went to although I'm a Giant fan, I'm glad he went to the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because you've still got Mike Trout still in LA to see that kind of dynamic. I don't know. I find it fascinating. It's one of the bigger, I think, MLB stories we've had in a long time. I think it's a lot of fun that we did this. I do have one more topic. This is a little bit of a surprise, so I apologize to the directors for this. But there was a report out there that Bill Belichick might be on his way out with New England.
Parting of the ways.
Do we think this is it for Bill in New England?
You know, the word I heard, and it's just kind of in the air.
Right.
I'm not saying it's a real thing, but that they had met and they decided to part ways at the end of this season.
Yeah.
And so then you speculate where he's going to go. But I do think that, look, I've said it before with Robert Kraft. He built a whole community around that stadium.
Yeah.
He needs people coming into that building. He can't have 3 or 4 years of 45,000 people walking through the turnstiles. He's got to have it full. So, and if you can stand, if those fans can stand 3 or 4 years of winning 4, 5, 6 games, then so be it. I don't think they can.
Goldie, you think this is it?
Yeah, I think he's done. The reports are they made that decision after they lost in Germany the week after the Dolphins went there. It's been ugly for a few years. They can't develop the quarterback. The offensive coordinator situation the last 2 years. Last year, he didn't even have one. My question is, where does he go? Yeah. Because I think that people are crazy out there saying, who would want Bill Belichick? There can be teams that want Bill Belichick.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Where does he go? And how does he decide who to go to? Because he wants to pass Don Shula. And, if he goes to a team like Washington, playing Dallas and Philly twice a year, it's going to be tough to do that. I wonder where he ends up. It's going to be fascinating to see.
I'm so glad we ended on this topic because Bill found his way into every show this year. So I think it's a perfect way to send us off. Goldie, Bo.
That's the second best thing since they got shut out at home a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Goldie, Bo, I can't thank you enough. This has been a lot of fun putting this show together week in and week out. Thanks to our producers, Leo and George, John, Matt, everyone.
Leo works on this show?
He does. He does. Not today, but he does.
Fancy that.
Once in a while.
Yeah,
he works once in a while.
Listen, Game Changer has been a lot of fun. I cannot wait for us to pick things up in the new year. We'll see where the Dolphins stand, certainly, when that happens. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you in 2024. Thanks for watching.